Welcome friends, welcome back to a series I'm calling Cocktails 101, and this is all of the behind the scenes stuff that you need to make before your next cocktail party. Today we're making simple syrup. And simple syrup should be something that is super simple to make, and it is simple to make, but there is a little bit of confusion around whether it is 1-to-1 by volume or 1-to-1 by weight. And I'm here to tell you that it's 1-to-1 by volume or weight, as long as you're using this white granulated sugar that comes in a bag and it's at every supermarket in North America. And yes, 1-to-1 by weight is definitely more accurate, but in these small amounts, if you're using a cup of water and a cup of sugar, with this white granulated sugar, it is so close that the difference is imperceptible. We're talking like 0.01 of a difference. So you can go ahead and do it by volume because that just makes it faster for almost everybody concerned. So, simple syrup. 1 part sugar and 1 part water. Into a pot, give it a stir, and just bring it up to temperature. You're not trying to bring it to a boil. Long before it boils, the sugar should be dissolved completely in the water. And simple syrup sibling is rich syrup, which is 2 parts sugar to 1 part water. 9 times out of 10, you're going to find simple syrup in the recipe. It calls for 1-to-1. One of the reasons you might want to use the 2-to-1 version or the rich syrup is it adds less water to your drink. But I don't think in practice that's really much of a concern. But it's exactly the same process. Into a pot, low heat, just sort of bring it up until it is clear. Now, both of these syrups can be made with brown sugar, either this crystallized sugar in the raw or this Demerara brown sugar. And there's a lot of rum cocktails that will call for Demerara syrup, and that is simple syrup made with Demerara brown sugar or this sugar in the raw. And if you're using either of these 2 sugars, I would definitely do it by weight. It's the only sure way that you're going to get the right level of sweetness. Okay, so these are almost ready. And you don't necessarily need to do this in a pot. I have seen both of these syrups made in a blender. That mechanical action of the blender spinning really quickly breaks down the sugar and dissolves it completely into the water. So if you wanted to go that route, it's perfectly fine. The sugar is fully dissolved, so now it comes down to storage. I like to store it in these glass bottles because it looks really cool. You know, you're making cocktails, you pour it out of a nice glass bottle. But, you know, these plastic squeeze bottles, perfectly fine. I know a lot of people use these. I've used them in the past. It's really easy just to give a squirt of simple syrup. Definitely a possibility. So I just got a funnel here, and I'm going to pour it in. And so that's the 1-to-1. And the 2-to-1 will go in this jar. You notice the 2-to-1 is much more syrupy. Okay, so there's a little bit of it left in the pot, maybe about 1/8 of a cup. I'll use that up first. Storage times, you keep these in the fridge, and the 1-to-1 is going to keep for 6 to 8 weeks. A lot of people say it'll only keep for a week. And what they seem to forget is that sugar itself is a preservative. And as the concentration of sugar gets higher, fewer and fewer things can live in it or grow in it. And certainly fewer and fewer things that will harm us can live in it or grow in it. Now, at 68% sugar, pretty much nothing will live in it. And neither of these have reached that point yet. But this one, the 1-to-1 simple syrup, 6 to 8 weeks in the refrigerator, keep a cap on it. Everything's going to be fine, but the only thing you'll notice near the end, if you get to that 8-week point, is there might be a little bit of mold growing on the inside of the jar. You see the mold, toss it. The mold won't hurt you, but you know, who wants to have mold in their cocktail? The 2-to-1, or the rich simple syrup, will last in your fridge up to 6 months. But again, if this is hanging out 3 or 4 months from now in your fridge, toss it, start over. You know, why take a chance? I know there's nothing in there that's going to hurt you. It might taste a little bit funky, but you know, why bother? Why take the chance? And a lot of people put in vodka, or this is straight grain alcohol. Put in a shot of vodka into each of these, and that will extend your shelf life. It won't affect your flavor too much, and even if you're using the simple syrup to put it in your coffee or your tea, that much vodka in that much simple syrup in the end coffee isn't going to cause you any harm. It's certainly not going to make you drunk. I usually don't put the vodka in. I just cap it and put it in the fridge, because really once it's been in your fridge for 5, 6 weeks, just toss it. I don't really see any use in extending it with the grain alcohol or the vodka, so I usually leave that out. But what I do is mark on the bottle what it is, when I made it, just so that you know when you should toss it. So come on back for the cocktail series, where we're going to be using these simple syrups. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.